Hello, my name is Jessica. I am the Safety Director here at Roadside Transport. Today we have Terry Ben, the Assistant Safety Director, and we have David Sorgen. He is our newly promoted Compliance Team Leader. We're going to kind of discuss roadside inspections today and violations compared to a citation. David, we're going to start with you. What is a roadside inspection and what effect does it have on a company and a driver?
Well, a roadside inspection is when a DOT officer out on the highway or city streets or however visually sees a situation where a driver, maybe a taillight is out on the trailer or the truck, speeding, any sort of that. So they've got a reason to pull the driver over. And what they're doing is there's different levels of the DOT inspection that they're going to go through on the roadside. And the violations can be instrumental. And long-term, failed DOT inspections by the driver will result in the driver not being hireable or even employed here.
Yeah. Absolutely. What effect does it have on the company?
Well, there's a lot of exposure in both avenues, the driver and the company. The company is the one that gets the biggest exposure from DOT coming in for doing DOT audits and such.
Sure. Terry, what is the difference between a citation and a violation when it comes to a roadside inspection?
We know out there on the road there is a difference when it comes to a citation or a violation. But with Horizon Transport, it doesn't matter. It's one of the same. On our scores, it still goes against our CSA score. So basically, it's one of the same. It doesn't matter if you get a violation or a citation. We're going to get points on that.
Absolutely, because each violation or citation that we receive on a roadside inspection goes towards the company.
Exactly.
So an individual that receives a bad roadside inspection affects the whole fleet.
The whole company. Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, David, how important is it to get a no violation roadside inspection?
Well, here at Horizon, if you get a clean bill of health, basically a good roadside inspection that is clean of any violations, we reward you with $25 and also 2,000 safety miles, which goes a long way.
It's huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which actually in the end goes towards your safety awards as well.
Yeah.
So we all know those are good. Okay, let's talk about hours of service violations. Terry, what violations are we seeing on hours of service violations right now on roadsides?
Yeah, right now we're getting quite a few of the violations, and some of the big ones right now are the false reporting of driver's record of duty status. That's one of the big ones. Driver's record duty status not current. Remember, guys, when you're out there on the road, it's just like this. Anytime you stop, you get on the app, the Keep Trucking app. You put in what you're doing and where you're at. You get ready to leave, you put yourself back on the driver's line. Again, you stop for fuel. What you're doing, where you're at, log that stuff every time. So that's huge. Driving beyond the 11 hours in a 14-hour period. Again, that's huge as well. The 11 hours, remember, it's 11 hours of driving in that 14 hours. That's all you have. If you go beyond that, there's also things that you can get set up on your app as far as give you warnings. In the 14 hours, when we're going beyond the 14 hours, that's a big one that we've been getting a lot of. There's things that you can set up on the Keep Trucking app where it will give you a 1 hour warning. So if you go into the Keep Trucking app, you can actually go into your settings. It'll give you can set it up where it gives you a warning before you're going to be in a violation. So remember that. If you need somebody to help you set that up, we have people in compliance and DOT. They will help you get that set up. Driving beyond the 8-hour limit since the end of your last 30-minute break. Another big one. You need to make sure that you're taking that 30-minute break. There's going to be sometimes, David, where a driver will take his break too early. He might end up having to take 2 breaks during the day of 30 minutes. So if you take your break within the first 2 hours of your 11 hours of driving or your 14-hour day, there's a good possibility that you're going to have to take another half-hour break. There's going to be another 8 hours. So remember that as well.
Absolutely. David, go into detail what the 14-hour rules are.
Well, the way the hours of service are set up, you've got 8, 10, 11, and 14 hours of the hours of service. The 8 hours is your driving time, and then before the 8th hour, you've got to take a 30-minute break. and you can drive up to 11 hours. And after the 11th hour, you've got to take your 10-hour break, but you're limited to actually on duty time of a 14-hour day. So depending on where you're at with your pre-trip and post-trip at the end of the day and such, you can actually exhaust up to your 14th hour before your 11th hour driving time is done. And then you'll have to take your 10-hour break.
Correct. So it's kind of like an hourglass.
Mhm.
When the time you start the day to the time you end, you only have 14 hours.
Yep.
And within that time period, you only have 11 hours of driving. And within your driving time, you have to take a 30-minute break before that 8 hours is up.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, once you turn that hourglass over, you can't stop the sand. So you put yourself on duty, it's 14 hours, it doesn't stop.
Absolutely. Terry, what is Horizon's policy for contractors that receive hours of service violations on roadside inspections?
Yeah, well, our policy is that if you get a violation, you can be terminated. So, it's unfortunate. We don't want to do that, and we have a lot of great drivers out there that are doing things right. We have a few drivers out there that are, not putting those things down. And, when it comes to our CSA score, it's important. When we have DOT come in and do an audit, we want to make sure that we get a clean bill of health. That, when our CSA score is low, or when it's high, I should say, it's basically putting a bullseye on you guys. When you're out there on the road and, they say Horizon Transport, they're more likely to pull you guys in when our score is high. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you're getting clean DOT inspections. If you're not, guys, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go.
So the higher our score, the higher the increase.
Absolutely.
The risk of...
They're going to bring guys in more often. The higher the score, again, it's like a bullseye.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, driver fitness is another one that we see a lot of roadside inspection violations on. It is a requirement for all drivers to have a DOT physical card with them at all times.
Yeah.
For commercial drivers, for CDL drivers, it is a requirement for the state to receive that physical card on hand. David, how important is it to send in your DOT physical to the state?
Well, it used to be that when you go in and take your physical, your long form physical, DOT, the doctors used to send the physical certificates downstate. They're no longer responsible of doing that. You're responsible for doing that. And if you do not send it down to the state in a period of time that they give you, you can face suspension of your CDL. And worst case scenario would be get pulled over unknowingly that your CDL has been suspended, and then again it goes back on the exposure of the company.
Yeah. And that is a big violation for Horizon. If you receive that, your file's going straight to the safety committee, and we're going to review you as a driver. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it that will bring DOT in our office like that.
Sure.
So nothing personal. This is business. We love our drivers, but your actions affect our fleet.
Yes.
So
Don't
take it personal. It is what it is. That's why we need all of our drivers to stay compliant.
It's one more step of being the professional out on the road.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yep.
Absolutely. Unsafe driving is another section when it comes to the roadside inspections. David, what violations are we seeing when it comes to unsafe driving?
Well, the exposure that we've had recently has been a failure to obey traffic control devices such as stoplights and that, and passing over the scales instead of going through the scales. Some states may have a sign up, but most generally you're in a commercial environment, and the regulations are that you have to cross the scales.
Yeah. If they say open, you got to go in.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, that is one of the higher points when it comes to the unsafe driving. You receive a good 15 points for passing a scale, which is huge.
Yeah, that's big.
Absolutely. Speeding. Let's talk about speeding.
Yeah.
David, that's another one that we see. Why is it important not to speed in general?
Well, basically, after a cumulative time of receiving tickets, you're going to have points on your license.
Yeah.
And eventually, the state may look at you as a habitual, and you can lose your driving privileges completely, not only your CDL or your driver's license, but your driving privileges completely.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And David, I mean, the biggest thing about doing this job is what? to make money.
Exactly.
And when it comes to making money, you want to keep your speeding down, because the more, the faster you're going, the more money you're burning when it comes to fuel. And guys, I used to do this. I drove. I know what it takes to make money out there. 62 miles an hour was as fast as I would go, even if it was a 70 miles an hour zone. 62 miles an hour was kind of like the sweet spot that my truck got the best fuel economy. When I was driving back empty, bobtailing back 65 miles an hour, I don't care if I was in Texas where it was 80 miles an hour, I was still going 65 miles an hour, because that's my truck got the best fuel mileage, and I made the most money that way.
And the question that I get the most on my side of it regarding the speeding on a roadside inspection, well, I only got a violation. And does that affect a CDL driver? Just a violation on the roadside?
It does. The exposure itself, whether it's a violation or a citation, it's still exposure on you, the driver, and us as a company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that gives that's another high point violation for Horizon.
Yeah.
So.
And we reward what's doing right.
Exactly. We're going to talk a little bit about the updated speeding policy on a roadside inspection. Terry, why don't you go into detail of what's getting ready to come out in the manual, so our drivers can be prepared when it does happen.
Yeah, and guys, again, we're not doing anything to try to take money from a driver or anything like that. But one of the things that's going to be updated is going to be a $250 fine. And then also you're up for review to the safety committee. So you'll be brought up in a meeting, and it's a good possibility that you can be terminated at that time. So it's going to be in the book here pretty soon. So, be ready for that. You don't even have to be ready for that if you're driving safely. If you're not speeding, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't affect you. It's for those guys out there that, basically have a lead foot. Slow down, guys. I mean, not only for the fact that the fuel mileage, but also for safety reasons. This time of year, all the road construction and stuff, when it gets winter time again, the speeding it's a killer.
And fines can even double, triple in construction zones.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It can cost you not only the money that you're losing here at Horizon, but the money that you'll be losing out of your own pocket for any kind of speeding violation.
It's not only the violation, but it's for your safety and others that are out on the road. Typically, when you're going at a higher speed, if you get in an accident, there's going to be more fatalities, and we can't afford that. I mean, that's somebody's life at risk. So from our safety department to the fleet, drive safe, arrive alive.